Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about Canary Systems' new MLWebHardware. My name is Amanda, and I will be your host. Now, I'm going to go ahead and provide a little background on MLWebHardware and then give an overview of the site and then show you just how easy it is to use. Throughout the presentation, please send us any questions you have, and at the end, my team and I will answer as many as we can. Canary Systems MultiLogger software has long been an industry leader in the management of sensors and data acquisition for automatic programming and data collection. Now, with MLWebHardware, the same capabilities are available, but on the web. MLWebHardware was first included at the 2019 release of MLSuite. Because MLWebHardware is web-based, it's easily accessible from just about anywhere. However, if you are accessing it from the server where MLSuite is installed, you'll notice that there's this new icon, and this is just a shortcut to the MLWebHardware website. So the URL is going to be dependent on if you're on the server where it's hosted, then you'll put localhost. If you're going to access MLWebHardware from another machine somewhere, you would do so by putting in the IP address or the computer name or the server name where MLSuite is installed. Now, this brings you to a login page, and the login page provides an additional level of security. So we have admin users who can actually access to log in and access to configure and collect data from data loggers in the field. There are also guest users, and they can just view pre-configured configurations and submit support requests. They can't make any changes to existing programs. They can't add any new products. They can't see any server information. So it provides, again, a little bit of security there and a little bit of control over who has access to what. Now, MLWebHardware includes an intuitive user-friendly interface. As you can see here, this home page is organized using cards. So each different Canary Systems product type has its own card, and within it you see a list of any configured data loggers. So we have MLDAC, MCLog, MLTDR to start with. As we can continue with development, you'll see additional cards here that include things like the MLSAA, MLGPS, and as these are added and they're added to the home screen, you'll also notice them being added to this left navigation here. So anything that's on the left navigation is also going to be here on the home screen. This is just a quick link, quick shortcut for you to access any of the products that have been configured. So if you were to click on this MCLog card, it's going to bring you to a list of any pre-configured MCLogs. So you can kind of see them here. You can see some more information in addition to just the name. You can see the last date data was collected. You can see the status of that last collection. You can say to manually collect data. You can see when the next collection is scheduled to be done. You can return home here. You can also click on a specific product, and that'll open that device configuration form for you, as you can see here. Now also notice up at the top, we have what we're calling breadcrumbs. So this is an easy way to navigate back to a previous page, especially when you get into programming the device. So once you get a couple layers down and you need to get back to this page, for instance, let's see. So if we go into the program, we go to configure a channel, we select a specific channel. See, now all those layers are listed up here. So if we need to get back to the list of MLDACs, we can simply click there, and that brings us back to that page. So again, all the screens you'll notice are organized using cards, and they pretty much give you a high-level overview of what is in the sub page or in that group. So you have each of the product types with a list of their products. Once you get to a specific logger, you have the information card, you have the connection card, you have a collection card. So the information card here, this just tells you the name of the device that's being configured or that has been configured. This is really important because this is going to be what you see throughout MLWebHardware on that home card as well as in the left navigation. So this is good to, identify where your device is or what the name of the device in the field. This ID field, this is going to carry over to your instruments that are associated to this device, as well as the elements of the data collected. And then also, when you log into MLWeb, there's going to be a folder where that data is imported that's going to correspond with this ID, at least to start. And then you have description. You have the coordinates showing where this device is located. So this can be updated either here if you know the exact coordinates, or you can click around and drag the map here to change these. Then we also have the connection details. So this is where you specify how we're connecting to the particular device. So most devices are going to have a Wi-Fi or an LTE modem, and you would simply need to just put in the IP address and port of that modem. Then you can add a PAC bus address if necessary. You can edit the time zone, and then you can test the connection. Now, this test connection feature is really important. MLWebHardware, one of the great things about it is it's intuitive. It has automatic hardware detection. So when you test this connection, not only are you verifying that, yes, this device is online and active, the information here is correct, but you're also retrieving any necessary configuration files that are included in that device. So for instance, our MLDAC product, that usually, or at least the newer ones, come with a CR6 data logger. So for that particular data logger, there are various configuration files that are necessary. This takes all the guesswork out of it. You don't need to know what that data logger is. You don't need to have those configuration files. When you do this test connection, it's going to automatically configure those files for you. Now, with MLWebHardware, the configuration of the product is super simple, even for complex programming. So say we want to go ahead and set up the program, specify what instrumentation we're going to be monitoring. You would just go to this program button. And before we specify the instruments, there's a couple other things we can do here. So for channels, which is going to be each of the instruments connected, we can specify the measure interval. This is how frequently, when monitoring the device, we want to see data. And storage interval is how often we actually want to collect the data. Then also for multiplexer channels, these are going to be your muxes. So if you need to add additional instrumentation to a device, you would use a mux. So you can configure when the measure interval and storage interval for that is as well. Or you can synchronize it to what you set here for the regular channels. We also have custom programming that can be done. So if there is a program that can't necessarily be configured using MLWebHardware, you can upload that here. You can also use a code insert option, and this allows you to set certain ports to either on and off. So you can specify which port it is that you want to turn on or off, and then you can select where in the program that you want that to start and stop, or turn on and turn off. Now, when you are ready to configure a channel or add a specific piece of instrument or add instrumentation to your device, you just go to Configure Channels. So by default, everything's going to be configured with one channel with battery voltage and panel temp. I'll open that so you can see. So these are each going to be imported as elements once you go into MLWeb. So you can change the name here. You can say that you don't actually want to import that information. And then you can add additional channels. So we already have an AVW200 vibrating wire, but then we can add any other instrumentation that we wish by selecting from this gauge type dropdown. And so when you select the gauge type, what it's going to do, it's going to populate a pre-configured form. So this name field here, this is where you can say or specify the name of the element once it's going to be imported. And then you also need to update, the various information, the input channel, the thermocouple type, depending on what it is. You save it, and then it's added. That simple. So say you had more than one AVW200 vibrating wire that you need to configure. You can just duplicate this one. The name is automatically updated, and then you can go and change the channel or any other information that's needed. You can also see that we're measuring the temperature, the battery volt, and the radio frequency signal for this. So then, say we want to configure a multiplexer for this also. So you would select Add. You would pick the type of mux that you're using. And again, this is just to allow you to add additional instrumentation. Save. And then configure channels. And these would be configured the same way as the other channels. You would click them, you'd open them, you'd select a gauge file, and then configure whatever information is needed here. Using these breadcrumbs, I'm going to navigate back to the device configuration here. Once my program is configured, I can go here to verify program. And this just confirms whether or not the program I've configured is going to work. And you see here that that was successful. Now, once I've verified my program, I can go ahead and hit update. And this is going to update the device in the data logger. So it's important to note that we have this kind of fail-safe here, just in case that you're working with a device that's already been configured, already been collecting data. If you're just making changes, you don't want to update that program and potentially lose any data that's already been collected. So instead, we give you this option to collect and update. So it'll collect whatever recent data has been collected since the last collection, and then it'll go ahead and push the program. So once this program has been pushed out to the device, to the data logger, we can go ahead and use what's called monitor mode to verify what information is being captured. So you can see here, these are all the instruments or the elements that we configured to collect data for. And we did set it to collect or monitor every 1 minute, that interval that we set. So once this gets to a minute, you're going to notice these details are going to be updated with actual information. So while we're in here, also, if you hit settings, say that you have, 30 or 40 elements that have been configured and you can't see them all on the screen. We actually have this multi-column view. So you can see everything on the same screen. You can also control what variables or what data elements you're going to view in monitor mode. If there's a couple that you don't really need to see, you can uncheck that and it'll remove it from this monitor mode here. So now you can see what the readings are in this monitor mode. So once we verify everything looks good in monitor mode, you can return to the device configuration and you can configure how data is collected into MLWeb in a matter of seconds. So this particular one is already set up. But in order to import data into MLWeb, all you have to do is check this box to import data, specify the server where the database is, select which database, in the case there's multiple on that server, and then the interval at which you import data into MLWeb. So we'll say that. So now we're going to import data every 1 minute. Now you'll see here in MLWeb, we've already been importing data. So again, this ID here, this is going to correspond with the folder in MLWeb where the data elements are being imported. So you can see here, all the elements that were configured and that we added are being imported into MLWeb. So again, super easy way to configure a program file. You can configure data collection into MLWeb in just a matter of seconds. So if you have, say you have a couple different devices that are going to be configured the same way, you can export this configuration file and re-import it after creating a new device. And then just change whatever is necessary, whether it be the IP address, the name, the description, the location, or any details associated to the program itself. The system is incredibly intuitive. It's easy to navigate. All the screens are really clean. They're not cluttered with a bunch of extra information that you need to think about. So another thing, you can actually submit support requests directly from MLWebHardware to Canary Systems. So for instance, I mean, you can submit them manually, but there's also a way to do so. So if you run into something where you're testing a connection or your program fails for whatever reason and you need help with that, you can actually submit a task directly to Canary Systems and it'll automatically populate the necessary information that we need for troubleshooting. So I just changed this IP address here so that this test connection is going to fail. So down here you can see test connection has failed. You can say show details where you can get all the necessary details that somebody would need for troubleshooting. But you can also click this button to submit a bug report. And this opens the submit request form with all the information needed. That call stack file is automatically there. It tells you what the description is. Then you can go ahead and change the priority if you need to, input your email address and hit submit, and that'll send this request directly to Canary Systems support team. You can also view any requests that you've submitted. Double-clicking this will open it in Zendesk itself if you want to go into there and provide more details. But yeah, so this is MLWebHardware. Incredibly easy to use, available. You can access it from anywhere. You don't have to be on the server where it's installed. It's a really, really great tool. It's going to really change how we do data collection. So I think that this covers all the high-level details that I wanted to go over for MLWebHardware. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these questions that have been sent in and see what we can answer for you.
All right, so let me introduce Sarah. She's going to act as our moderator, and then we also have Zach and Jason who are going to help us answer questions.
All right, thank you, Amanda. So we've had a few questions that have come in over the course of the webinar, and then any additional ones that you have, feel free to send them in, and we'll get to them as we get through the others. So looks like the first question we have is, are the login credentials the same as in MLWeb if that's what we're already using?
Okay, so the MLWebHardware credentials are in fact different than what you would use for MLWeb. MLWebHardware has two different users. As I mentioned, it is the admin user, which has full access to create configurations, create programs, update programs. And then there's the guest user, which can only view previously configured loggers and look at monitor mode.
All right. So let's see. It looks like the next one that came in is each channel automatically configured to include a battery level or frequency? So let's see, Amanda, or did you have an answer for that, or Zach or Jason?
I can answer that. Hold on, let me. Okay, oops, let me log back in there. So when you're configuring a program and you add a brand new channel, so say we do a vibrating wire here, the temperature and battery voltage is not by default checked. So the ones that I showed earlier, they were already checked because that had already been configured.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Looks like the next one we've got is, so the example that you showed used an IP connection. Are there other connection options that you can use?
Yes, there are. So, and I should have gone into detail about that. So here, so what I'm connected to only has the socket option. I'm sorry. Yes. So actually, Zach or Jason, can you elaborate on that? So we have other connection options other than just connecting to the IP address?
Yeah. So if you plug anything into your COM ports on your computer, if you're running MLWebHardware from your computer, you'll see those show up in the list there, and then you'll get additional settings for things like baud rate that you would have to set to communicate with your device.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason.
All right. So there was a monitor mode screen. When you uncheck the options, does that also stop monitoring that channel as well?
No, it does not. But when I unchecked those options, all it did was just for that screen, didn't display them. So as long as those channels are configured, you're going to continue monitoring them, and the data will be imported into MLWeb.
Okay, perfect. Let's see, we've got one more right now. Let me just double check. Okay. So can you provide some more information on custom programs? So for example, can you still test the program to confirm it works the way I think you currently can in MultiLogger?
Yes, so you can, so right now when we configure a program, you can test the connection to verify that, you can verify that the program works. When configuring a custom program, you can still verify that program. It still works the same, the verify program option. But Jason or Zach, do you want to give a little bit more information about custom programs and how they work and how they'll work in the future?
Yes, so if you upload a custom program in there, it will just run that program. It won't use any of the settings from MLWebHardware. And when you click Verify Program, it will build the actual custom program for you in your logger folder on your server. So you can always go in and see the custom program in that spot as well. And then the code insert lets you add some custom programming into a program that's built with MLWebHardware. So, and we'll be adding to this over time. We'll be adding more options. Right now, all we have is the port set. But as we come across instances where people need to add more little chunks of code into their programs, we're going to add more options here. And those can be deployed on servers without actually upgrading the software. We can add more options on the fly as needed.
All right, thank you, Jason. So the next one is MLWebHardware is already installed on my server. Is it pre-configured for my DAC, or will I have to configure it?
So if you have an ML DAC on MultiLogger, you'll have to configure it yourself. But if it's already on MLWebHardware, I'm not sure if it's already set up. If that's what you're referring to, you're all good. But if it's on MultiLogger, you're going to have to reconfigure it again on MLWebHardware.
Okay, so if they already have a DAC configured in MultiLogger, then it would have to be reconfigured for MLWebHardware.
Yep.
Okay.
ML DAC, MCLog, MLTDR.
Okay. All right. And the next one is, so does MLWebHardware work with all commercially available loggers? For example, Campbell, load sensing, RST, Geocon, etc.
Jason, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, right now it works with just Campbell loggers. If any of those other systems are using Campbell loggers under the hood, it can work with those as well. You might need to use custom programs for those. But yes, it will mostly just be as long as there's a Campbell logger as part of the system, you can configure it through MLWebHardware. Pulling from other systems, we would have to look at different options like using APIs and things like that.
So, and we got one more. So will MLWeb be discontinued?
Not MLWeb. So MLWebHardware is going to be the new improved MultiLogger, and MLWeb will function the same. The data collected through MLWebHardware will be imported into MLWeb. And I just want to add one more thing. So MultiLogger is not going to be discontinued, at least anytime soon. This is going to be, Zach, you might want to weigh in on this, but this is going to be a process. So right now we only have, we have a few different products that are available in MLWebHardware. So it's going to be a kind of a migration process to get everything from MultiLogger to MLWebHardware. So if you have MultiLogger right now, that's not going away. We're still supporting that.
Yep. And over time, we're going to implement more and more hardware into MLWebHardware as we go.
Right.
All right. So I think that's it. So we're going to head off. Again, we'll have the recording available with all answered questions. We'll send out the link via email later next week, and you can forward that, and we'll make it available on our website as well.